that we think, like we really wanted to make sure that the actual play experience is prioritized as the main thing. Like that's the kind of, our focus right now. Which, I mean, obviously this affects it, but it's kind of like something where like it's a slightly longer term concern. So it's something we need to definitely investigate more. But yeah, it was really like that map playability and like making sure that, because like, I mean, when people are dying to things that they think are bullshit and stuff like that, that's kind of like something that we were more concerned about. So yeah, that's, I would say we need to definitely do more. We need to form an opinion about this before we can say more about it, I think.
How about I phrase a question like this then? In PoE 1, item quantity was removed, which affected currency. In PoE 2, you now bake that into
Yeah,
rarity.
I see what you mean. Yep, that's a very good point.
What is the reasoning for reintroducing quantity that you made a decision to remove in PoE 1?
I don't think that we looked at that as reintroducing quantity. But you are correct that it does increase the quantity.
Question.
It's not that it increases the quantity of currency. It increases the type, the tier of the currency you get, which
the
you would look at that as quantity because like you don't care about like whatever transmutes are dropping. You only care about the higher ones, and so as far as you're concerned, that is quantity. So I would say we just really look at that as quantity, but you're not wrong about that, right? That is true.
Well, it's certainly going to be a problem if it is perceived as that having enough rarity is the only way to thus have enough currency to say roll your maps effectively and also have enough to spend on gear and whatnot. Like that's certainly a problem. In which case some adjustments probably likely do need to be made. But again, we're just speculating now. We need to look into this a heck of a lot more in order to get an actual informed decision there.
That's fair. I do have one last follow-up on it, and it's a discussion we had 4 or 5 years ago with Chris Wilson. And the topic was actually about currency drop as well. And the comment was that the numbers were fine on GGG's side. The numbers looks fine. It is accurate. You are dropping more currency than ever. But the numbers didn't matter when the perception in the community is the direct opposite. So how do you think about tackling that specific conversation when the perception is completely opposite to what's seemingly the reality of things, right?
So are you saying that the community perception is that currency doesn't drop enough?
It's the perception is that rarity is a mandatory stat.
Oh, sure. No, well, absolutely, right? Like, look, if the community feels that way, we should absolutely look into it and do more about it, right? Like, but bear in mind that, yeah, I sort of often say, like when the community has a problem, this is an invitation for us to understand the problem and then for us to address it in the way we want to address it. And that way isn't necessarily exactly what the community is saying, but it's just effectively like, I do want to keep doing things until the community is no longer unhappy about it. But that may not necessarily look exactly like in the form that they're expecting, if you know what I mean. So yeah, we have to look more into this. That's absolutely the case, right? And we can tell that because of the fact that people are unhappy. So yeah, we will look into more into it.
So speaking of unhappy, we're going to get into State of Melee / Maces is the next portion of the here.
Drama.
So, let's talk about Warrior and Maces. What are your guys' feelings currently on the state of Maces? How do you want Mace skills in particular to function in Path of Exile 2? Obviously, they're very long cast times. Movement of mobs can be very quick. You can get stunned, interrupted. On the tree as well, there's many nodes that literally reduce like attack speed in order to gain other things. So more or less, Warrior's in a position where a lot of the people feel like it's clunky, too slow for the current in-game play loop, or Warrior feels like maybe the first class designed when the vision of PoE 2 was fairly slow. So what is your guys' response as to the state of Mace skills, and where would you like to take it?
Well, our first question I would have for you is, do you think it's a problem during campaign or only in endgame?
I would say it is more specifically a problem in an exponential ramping as you continue the game until you hit a point where there's pinnacle bosses, and then you can kind of one-shot pinnacle bosses with some of the setups